Call the meeting to order. You ready, Kath? All right. Stand for the pledge, please. Okay, Doug, do us favors, please.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's take a brief minute to pray for our troops who won't be home for the holidays. Okay, thank you. Okay, the ZBA application, time of the signs, I don't have that letter with me.
I do not. Wait, I have. Hold on, stand by.
I'm right here, Deb.
I just,
You got the one?
Perfect, thank you, David.
this is the withdrawal of the letter. Thank you.
Just give it back to David.
Thank you, okay. To the zoning board chairman, members of the zoning board, and to whom it may concern, I'm writing this letter to inform you that we are withdrawing our application for the proposed sign for the Heritage Financial Credit Union located at 1476 Route 9D. Application number is ZB24-004, timely signs for Heritage Financial Credit Union, 1476 Route 9D. With the withdrawal of this application, I am requesting a refund for the remaining balance of the ZBA escrow account, which is listed for account number TA2088-ZB308. Thank you, Tyson McCaslin. Okay. So they've withdrawn that application, and now have a public hearing for Mr. Brian Rogers. Okay. Okay. Let me read this and then we'll make a motion, okay? Let's see, ZBA application ZB24007, 6 Petticoat Lane. Brian Rogers, the applicant, is seeking a front yard variance where such structure or storage area shall comply with all yard setback requirements for buildings, but in no case shall be permitted in the front yard to construct a 10 by 16 foot shed in the front yard. Said request in violation of Town of Fishkill Code 150-48, Attachment 1, Schedule of Regulations for Residential Districts. The land affected by this application is generally known as Tax Map Section 6155, Block 03, Lot 003327, located at 6 Petticoat Lane, consisting of 1.64 acres in the R40 zoning district. Do I have a motion for open a public hearing?
Motion to open public hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers? Okay, you got the floor.
Thanks. We have a lot that the house is very close to the back end, the bottom side you can see there. The driveway kind of goes down that skinny part, and the road is at the furthest to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a skinny driveway that goes up to the house, and then the house is actually located 30 feet from the back of the property. And we have a garden and some fruit trees in the front yard area, the area sort of to the front, and in that drawing to the right of the house. And we wanted to put a shed in that was close enough to the garden and all of the fruit trees so that we could use it as a garden shed. And placing it directly behind the house, there's a patio, and then to one side there's a sort of rock actually I'll use this. Over here there's some rocks, and then there's sort of a hill that goes down to this area. There's a patio directly behind the house. Essentially there's not a great spot for it, and we were hoping to have it close to the garden, which is in this area, and the fruit trees. So yeah, we wanted to locate it here. We have a tree, there's kind of a line of trees and a fence here along the border with our neighbors here. It's pretty out of sight from them. They have a couple sheds over here as well. It's pretty out of the line of sight of the road. So that's basically the situation, and that's why we're looking for a variance.
This is essentially in the back of the neighbor's lot, right? You know, in back of their property.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Kath, we'll start at your end.
No, don't have any questions.
Doug?
No, I think it's pretty.
Tim?
No, it's pretty clear.
Isabel?
No.
Anybody? I have no questions. I consider this a flag lot, okay? And since it's in the back of another, property, I have no problem with it personally. I don't think anybody else does. So, since we have nobody on the floor here wants to have any questions?
None of the neighbors came out.
I guess we can close the public hearing. So I have a motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think we can take a vote on this.
Yeah, you want to step through the balancing
We'll go
test and the
through
five
we'll go
factors?
through- Sure.
Okay.
All right.
As you know, go ahead, you want to go ahead and do it?
Sure.
I'm happy to lead you if you want, or you can use your sheet there.
Okay, let's see here. First is whether the undesirable change will be producing the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of the area variances. Does anybody believe this is an undesirable change?
No.
I don't believe so. Can it be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue, other than the area variance, or other than variance here? Maybe.
Yeah, it may be,
Possibly,
but it's,
yeah.
But still, I don't have a problem.
with the shape of the lot, it's like, almost like it's in
Exactly.
their backyard.
Exactly. Is it substantial? I don't believe so.
No.
Should I take a vote on all of these, or, I don't think we...
No, you do not need to take an individual vote on each factor, as long as you're discussing it and everybody's considering it.
Will it have an adverse effect or impact on the environmental conditions in the neighborhood of the zoning district?
Don't think so.
No.
No.
You're not going to cause any water to come into your neighbor's place, are you?
No
Was it self-created? Well, yeah,
They always are.
But I think all in all, I think we can make a motion to grant. So I have a motion to grant.
I make that motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, sir. Okay.
You want to take another motion to direct me to prepare a resolution and to authorize the chairman to sign it if he finds it
Exactly what he
consistent?
said. Can I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Done.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, David. Okay, we have a...
Good luck.
Good luck with it.
Good luck, yes. We have a new application here, a new submittal. ZBA application ZB24008 from the Fishkill Planning Board. Appeal of the Town of Fishkill Zoning Administrator's determination for application ZB24004 timely signs, which is a proposed digital monument sign. The Planning Board is requesting that the Zoning Board reverse the zoning administrator's determination pursuant to Town Code 150179 because I, the proposed electronic digital message board, is prohibited by Town Code 150143, Section D5, and 2, a variance is required to legalize a proposed non-compliant digital monument sign. So, I guess do we take a motion to accept this?
Well, we would probably want
Yeah.
Sarah, the one...
Yeah, let her
Yeah, once you have, like you
representing
normally...
the planning board?
Okay, all right. So you're representing the planning board?
I am. Good evening.
Okay, please identify yourself and introduce yourself to us.
Yes, hello, my name is Sarah Wilson. I'm an attorney with Drake Loeb, and I am here on behalf of the Planning Board of the Town of Fishkill with regard to the appeal submitted to the Zoning Board,
Okay.
okay, which you read. So I can summarize it. We did submit this document in November, but I'm happy to give a brief overview and the planning board's position.
Please
Okay,
do, yeah.
wonderful. So this appeal is brought to you based on a determination from the zoning administrator with regard to an application from Timely Signs, which was submitted on behalf of Heritage Financial Credit Union. As you know, earlier, the application for the variance was withdrawn. However, in consideration of the relevant issue that's present with regard to this appeal, it was the planning board's decision that the appeal be pursued, because the prominent issue here is that what we have is a zoning administrator who has interpreted the code in a way that the planning board doesn't feel is appropriate. And if there is no opportunity to contest that decision and bring it before the ZBA, then it's something that will constantly evade review. So we felt that it was important that this appeal be maintained for your consideration and so that you can look at the issue that's involved. So briefly, with regard to the facts that are outlined in the submission at pages 1 through 3, essentially, Heritage Financial purchased the property at 1476 Route 9D, which was formerly Rhinebeck Savings Bank. On August 6, 2024, Timely Signs applied for, they submitted a permit for a monument sign. However, there was a determination that a height variance was necessary as the proposed sign was 7 feet 2 inches tall, whereas 6 is allowed under the code. That is the only variance requested in the application that was submitted to the ZBA. Subsequently, the ZBA referred the application to Dutchess County Planning in accordance with general municipal law and also to the Planning Board for review and comment. The Planning Board reviewed the application at the September 12th, 2024 meeting and outlined their concerns in correspondence, primarily as to whether the digital LED reader board that's proposed is prohibited under the town code. I mean, to get specific, whether it's prohibited by section 150-43D5, which we will get to in a moment. Dutchess County Planning also outlined several concerns and determined that the application was incomplete. Not only did they take issue with whether or not the height variance was necessary, there was also an issue of whether an area variance was required given the size of the sign and also the legality of the digital LED reader board, which they determined was prohibited based on the plain language of the town code. They also warned against the detrimental precedent that could be involved with not having this issue be brought to the ZBA's attention and have it be something that an administrative board has oversight of, which is what brings us to the decision at issue. An interpretation request was made to the zoning administrator with regard to the specific section of code. And on October 3rd, the zoning administrator determined that the proposed digital reader board was not prohibited by the town code. You have the decision, it's relatively brief. It relies on a definition of static provided in Merriam-Webster, but otherwise vaguely says that it complies with the town code's legislative purpose. The planning board ultimately adopted a resolution to submit this appeal, which is why I'm here. So, with regard to the digital LED reader sign and why this is raising such concerns is because, if I may, the section of the code that is before the board with this appeal for an interpretation is under 150-43, subsection D, entitled Prohibited Signs, subsection 5. This is what is prohibited by the code. Signs with flashing, blinking, intermittent, or moving lights, or any artificial light which is not maintained stationary and constant in intensity and color at all times when in use, except for signs displaying time and/or temperature. admittedly, the town zoning code is quite strict. It is for a reason, because towns want to have control over the aesthetics of what is used for advertising, over how it impacts drivers, pedestrians, property value, and to avoid Route 9D becoming the Las Vegas Strip. You want to have oversight. And it's the planning board's position that this oversight belongs to the ZBA. It's not to say that digital signs aren't allowed, but you have to get a variance. They're not permitted under the law as it's stated in the town code. So there is an opportunity, but then you go to the ZBA, you go through the 5-factor test, and then you all make that determination. As it stands, with the loose interpretation of the zoning administrator, there is no oversight. So there may not be another opportunity to bring this issue to the ZBA. As I mentioned, it will just constantly evade review. And then these signs will be given permits and will pop up all over because nobody else has any authority to say otherwise. The zoning administrator also is the only entity who would have the authority to issue a violation. If he believes that his interpretation was correct, he's obviously not going to issue a violation for a sign that he authorized. So that is why this issue is particularly important. It's the planning board's position that the decision should be reversed. As it pertains to this application in particular, there are references in timely signs communications with the zoning administrator that the digital message board proposed. First, it's full color, which inherently means the color will change. There was also reference to changing messages, meaning the text will change. Further, the request was made that the changing intervals be in a range of 5 to 8 seconds. So that's not stationary, it's not static by any classical definition of the word, and it is inherent in the description of the sign that it is prohibited under the town code. That's why we're here. That's why we have requested the ZBA's review. Again, it's not that these items and these proposed signs will never appear, but they should appear in accordance with what the law allows, and that's only with a variance. So with that, that summarizes the submission that we've made, but I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns. Of course, I think Mr. Petrus is here and he can speak on his behalf, but I'm happy to answer anything from the board.
Well, I got a lot of questions, but
Sure.
if they applied for a variance, that would be acceptable?
Yes.
If the applicant applied, along with the height requirement, the height variance, if they also applied for an LED or digital reader board variance?
Well, yes, and it's our position that that's what's required,
Okay.
Chair. That a variance would be necessary for them to legalize the proposed use. But what that does, just as a height variance is by its very nature, it does not comply with the town code. You're seeking to deviate from the law, vary
Okay,
from the law and get the variance.
Now, you call it a digital reader board. I've never heard of that term. I just call it an LED sign. Is that the proper definition, digital reader board or LED sign? Or is that
Yeah.
one and the same?
Yes, they would be used interchangeably in my world too. I think digital reader board was included in the application as a term of art for
Okay.
the sign professionals.
And where does it say in the code a digital reader board is not allowed?
Well, it would fall under,
We're talking about D5, correct?
yes.
I don't
So-
see digital reader board is not permitted in the town.
Sure, but the light used to illuminate a digital reader board or an LED sign is artificial. So that would be where it falls within the prohibited signs under number 5.
Well, artificial light is not, It doesn't say here that artificial light is not allowed. To me, it says artificial light, any artificial light which is not maintained stationary.
True.
So a colorful sign can be sitting there. And that is it's legal.
Absolutely, and that would apply to Heritage Financial's current sign. It has the logo, it's lit at night, any sign that you see, pretty much outside of any business in the evening, it's all artificial light, but it's not moving, it's stationary, it just shows the image. There is no distraction, and that's what the code's trying to avoid.
According to Timely Signs, this is not moving either.
And that's where we need the ZBA to weigh in, because when you say a message is going to change at 5 to 6 second intervals, and that there's the opportunity to put it into any color, that inherently indicates that it's not going to remain stationary, non-moving. It's going to change. The intent is to have the message change.
It absolutely is, you're correct.
I do
But-
agree with that, but...
But
Well, should
I
we
spoke
get-
to Timely Signs today because I wanted to be prepared for this meeting. I also had a meeting with Mr. Petrus to get his insight. Yes, the message does change, but it's not a scrolling message, a moving message. The message goes off and a new message pops on. It's not distractive, you know what I'm saying? It just pops on 5, 8, 10 seconds later, and that time frame can be changed. It can be stretched out to minutes, hours, days, years. Okay?
Sure.
So essentially, I don't consider that movement. It's a new message pops up.
But a new message does pop up, so whether it is every 5 seconds, every 5 days, or every 5 months, under your town code, as the legislators have written this particular section, that in and of itself, regardless of how frequently the change happens, is prohibited.
Okay, well, I'm not going to debate that issue with you. That's up to this board to decide.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, no, I appreciate
We could
all of
debate
your
all night on
feedback. I mean, and we can agree to disagree. But again...
And it's also probably, it's more appropriate for the hearing, right now, we're just an intro on the
Yeah, we're just trying to
applications.
Sure.
understand, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand where she got that a digital reader board was illegal, because it's not.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have 2 movie theater signs across from Home Depot that change and very, very bright and very distracting? We already have 2. How did those get past us?
Well, and I think all...
Something different completely?
You have to ask Joel that question. I don't know.
And I won't speak for the zoning administrator, but I think that raises a relevant issue, and the issue is the precedent that would be set. If a permit is determined that it's not required, then you can anticipate these signs popping up all over because there is no oversight. It would be a permit, they walk out the door, they build their sign, and you're seeing things change and move and be lit up using artificial light on a reader board.
But each time they would have to come get a variance.
To have a sign that would change in color and intensity, and again, this is the town of Fishkill's code. I did not create this, I did not write it. That is the law as it's written, and so that's what the officials, the officers, the elected board members are obligated to uphold. So if there has been no oversight, then there could be signs that already are up that are prohibited. And again, it just comes back to the ZBA having the review. If you go through the 5 factors and you determine, after weighing the balancing of interests, that certain signs, certain businesses would need it, that's for you to decide. It's
Well,
just
I got a
keeping...
question.
Well, conceivably, if we're extending the time frame out from 6 seconds to a month to a year, we could also backtrack that, where it could be every millisecond the sign changes. And then we're looking at a flip book like they did with the old cartoons, that when it's put together is essentially a moving image. So the timestamp for me, somebody could argue that a millisecond it's stagnant for that time. So I think it is important that this board kind of come to a thing. If we're going to let this stand, then a millisecond could be perceived as stagnant for that time frame.
So
Yes.
my question is, 100 yards down the road, you got the stadium. Now, I know that's considered a county park, but at this point, the county is a landlord, okay? And Rhinebeck, I mean, the Heritage Financial is leasing that facility. So does that sign fall into the same category since it's in the town of Fishkill?
Well, that is a valid question, and given that it was a county project and had separate approvals and went through, I think that's a better question for the zoning administrator. Whether or not the board determines that it complies, there has been no violation to my knowledge, and if no permit was required for a much smaller sign, then would be doubtful that one was required for a much larger sign.
I
There
think
could
that
have
was
been-
that was overlooked, completely overlooked when the lease was signed.
That, or there could be terms of the conditions of the lease specifically authorizing that property to have a sign that deviates, but I can't speak to the sign at the park.
Seems as though the county didn't have a problem with their sign.
Right.
But they do have a problem with somebody else's sign. Just a point.
Well, and then it's
Anyway,
the same
that's not in
entity,
front of us, but
Heritage
that's something
Financial.
that we are aware of.
Understood.
Okay. So I'd like to hear what Joel has to say.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you.
Joel?
Again, I just want to remind you that this is not the public hearing. You're going to end up doing all of this all over again, just so you know.
Oh,
Right, this is just the first meeting,
If we
right, to accept it, and then you'd have a public
well, then
hearing.
we
where
can
all
have
the-
Joel come up and,
You could certainly have him come up now if you want, but you're going to redo it in the hearing. None of this is going to be part of the hearing record.
what do you say, Joel? You want to come up and,
If I'm coming up now, if I want to say it all over again another time, I will just wait till we go to the hearing.
Probably better off doing it at the public hearing.
okay, we'll wait till the public hearing. Actually, you could submit that also, okay? You could submit that also, for the public hearing, so we can make it part of the record. All right,
What we have is determination.
yeah. All right. Well, I guess we have to accept this. And we're gonna speak to council on this. We got a lot of questions and so forth. Does anybody else have any more questions? Okay.
Want a motion to accept the application?
Yeah, I guess we'll take a motion to accept.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll accept this, and I'd like to go into executive.
You want to make a motion?
Well, why don't you make a motion to set the public hearing?
Oh, okay. I need a motion for the public hearing.
Motion to set it for public hearing January
21st.
21st.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I'd like to go into executive council so we can discuss this further.
So in other words,
Legal advice.
you don't want to make a motion to go into an attorney-client session for the purpose of seeking and receiving legal advice?
Yes.
You could take a motion to that effect.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, don't do anything.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everybody.
You too.
Thank you, guys.
Be safe.
Okay, we're good, Ron.
You're on.
I'm sorry?
We're on.
We can, do I have a motion to come out of attorney session?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn meeting?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a
Aye.
second?
Second.
Because that's my favorite motion.
Second. Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
My feet got cold.